Hello guys, in today's video I'll be freestyle trading using True SMC and I'll be using the euro dollar and the 3-minute time frame. Of course, I'll be using the 4 entry modules and of course the updated series. So without further ado, let's dive in. So exactly right here, we can clearly see that price has taken out the inducement, creating this swing high, and of course price reversed and broke past the swing high. As you can see, then that's a break of structure, or that's a confirmed valid break of structure. In this case, it's a bullish break of structure. Of course, after that, it's identifying, of course, the next step is identifying the inducement. And you can clearly see that this here is the major inducement. Why major? Because it occurred after the break of structure. All right, so exactly right there, that's our inducement. All right, this here is the part that caused the break of structure. So obviously the decisional POI will be somewhere here. Of course, to identify that, you'll need to dive into the lower time frame. And since this is the 3 minute, of course the 1 minute is the one that I will dive deeper. All right, checking here, I cannot see any valid order block. So this means that I will just stick with the rejection block. We can confirm that on the 1 minute. Exactly right here, this is the 1 minute price action, and we can clearly see that this here is the order block. All right, so exactly right here, that's the decisional order block. Yep, and all right, so the extreme order block still remains. Yeah, because this one here is engulfed, you can clearly see this here is engulfed. So this means that's not counting, and I'll just be using the rejection block. This here is an SMT. You can clearly see this here is an SMT. Why SMT? Because it is not the one that caused the break of structure. This here is the one that caused the break of structure. This is just a smart money trap, and you know the color that I use for the smart money trap, it's actually the purple. And of course, this is also a smart money trap. Why the smart money trap? Because it is before the inducement, and in this case it's a major inducement because it occurred after the break of structure. You can clearly see this pattern occurred after the break of structure. This one here is our major inducement. This here is our swing high. Now if price reverses right here after it has taken out the inducement, or after the mitigation of the decisional or the mitigation of the extreme, then this means that this one here will be a valid break of structure. All right, so let me shift back to the 3 minute and run price so that you can see what price unfolds. All right, so onto the 3 minute, or back to the 3 minute. So let me run price and see what price does. All right, so exactly right there, price struck through past the decisional, and did it mitigated the, all right, has yet mitigated it, but I cannot buy here. Why? Because there is no any valid mitigation here. All right, and by the way, this is a valid swing point, so let me use yeah, if price breaks past that, that's a valid break of structure. So let me continue. Exactly, price has mitigated the price has mitigated this SMT, and you can clearly see it gave a big reaction to the upside. But do you think this reaction is valid? Even though this here, you can clearly see, you might even see like there is something here. Let me do this. All right, let me take the RSI. You might see this is a divergent, and you may say that that's a valid buy, but that's not a valid buy. You can clearly see here price made a lower low, and on the RSI price made a higher high. So you might say like that's a very nice entry, and you can enter based on this one here, and you'll say that I will enter based on this. Of course, you'll set your SL somewhere. Right, so this ended up being something bigger. All right, so you may say something like this: I'll be entering here on this scope, and of course target the external liquidity, and this is what will happen to you. Why? Because you entered based on an SMT, and this is your fate. You can clearly see price strike through right there. All right, price is giving there. All right, you see this reaction, this is to induce more buyers and then later take them out. Why? This is a smart money trap. Don't ever buy on a smart money trap, even if you see a valid reaction from there, or a valid sorry, even if you see a valid confirmation both on the same time frame or on the lower time frame. Don't enter based on it. Just wait for a valid mitigation and after a takeout of the inducement before you can participate. All right, and you can clearly see right here, after price has mitigated the rejection block exactly right there, I am anticipating that price will give the ultimate reversal, or now break past that to shift bias to bearish, right? And you can clearly see that price is giving the nice reaction, and if I were you, I will take the reaction on this second leg. I mean, exactly right here, this here will be my buy. Why there? Because that's the second leg. And I got some question. All right, the best SL, if you are doing this, I will press it right there. And the reason as to why I waited for the second leg is because I didn't want to place my SL below here. Waiting for the second leg makes the SL reduced. I know you can place the SL somewhere there, but it's too tight and very dangerous. Maybe somewhere here or somewhere here. Why the second leg? You can clearly see right here, this here, you can clearly see price did that, created a valid pullback and then higher. So this here is the reason. So this here is the first leg and this here is the second leg. That's the reason as to why I'm saying you enter based on the second leg. After price returns on this here, I mean this order flow, then now you can participate for the buy, exactly right there. So that's where now I'll be buying my and of course targeting the external liquidity as usual. So that's how you'll be doing it. All right, so let me get rid of these, and yeah, let's see what price does. You can clearly see price did that, and by the way, you can continue staking the cells. You can clearly see this here is the third leg. So I mean the buy is not the cells. So exactly right here after the return of this, you can place it there. Of course, stop loss, you can place it there. This is the safest stop loss, but since we're in another, you can place it on this low of the second one, and of course targeting exactly right there. So you can do this. You can continue staking and staking on each leg that price creates. So you can clearly see price is doing that. All right, this here is another leg. This is not a valid pullback. Why not a valid pullback? You can clearly see that this bullish candle engulfed all this price action. So I wouldn't recommend. So let me continue running price, and you can clearly see eventually. All right, so price returned. All right, this here is another second leg. This is another leg, not another second leg, but another leg. You can clearly see. All right, there is nothing here, but you can clearly see also price reversed on the same part. Yeah, you can clearly see that price reversed exactly right there on this entry here, but I will not take it. The reason is why I will not is because I explained this bullish candle and got all these candles in between here. And if you have checked the video, if you've watched the video on a valid pullback identification, this is not a valid pullback. All right, so let's see what price does eventually. And you can clearly see price made it out to the external liquidity. So you can clearly see that's how we actually do it. So now let me delete this and we continue running. We continue with the freestyle trading, of course. All right, so on this, as you can see, price made a break of structure very well right here. And where is the inducement? Of course, I can clearly see that this is the inducement very well, exactly right there. And of course, let me run price and see what price does. Right, so exactly right there, we can clearly see that price has taken out the inducement, and this inducement is none other than a minor inducement. Exactly here, this is a minor inducement. Why minor inducement? Because it occurred before the break of structure. These are simple things that you guys need to understand. If it occurred before the break of structure, that's a minor inducement. And if it occurred after the break of structure, like this previous example, then that's a major inducement. So these are just simple things that you guys need to understand. And by the way, we say that if this is a minor inducement, then this means that this one here is now the major inducement. So take note on that. And yeah, if we are to mark the POIs right here, I cannot see any POIs here. All right, let's say, because this is the one that caused the break of structure, should be somewhere here. This is the one that caused the break of structure, but as you can see, I will not buy from there. Even though that's a decision, I will not buy from there because the decision is before the inducement. And if you remember, we said that such POIs are smart money traps. So I will just be using the purple color to signify that our decision is a smart money trap and we cannot rely on it. And that's the reason is why I just marked the inducement and waited for price to reverse back. And by the way, this is now a confirmed swing point, and I need to indicate that. So this one here is a confirmed swing point, and you can clearly see that price has mitigated this area exactly right here. I'm anticipating that on the lower time frame there is a valid mitigation here, because you can clearly see that this one here is the extreme that was mitigated. Then on the next candle, which is this one here, it was also mitigated, and the one that is left is this one, but it is an internal. So the thing that I'll do here, I'll go on the lower time frame and see if I can get a valid, and you can clearly see here, I hope you're seeing that. Yeah, on the 1 minute, you can clearly see that this year price mitigated this. So or let me just use the ones that I already marked. So you can clearly see this is the extreme candle, of which it was already mitigated here. And taking another one, which is this one here, you can clearly see this is also mitigated there. And we said if it's mitigated, it's invalid. Then taking now the red one, which is this one, you can clearly see it's mitigated. And now the one that is left, of course it is not this one, but the one that is associated with a fair value gap. You can clearly see that this here is the fair value gap. Let me use this. You can clearly see that's the fair value gap exactly right here. So that's the fair value gap, and you can clearly see it's mitigated exactly here. But we say that it can be mitigated, but it shouldn't be fully mitigated. You guys need to remember that. So I will just be doing this, or I can just make it fully, but let me just make it to the order block. All right, so that's our extreme order block, and yeah, so that's the extreme order block, and I'll be relying on that as the extreme order block. As you can see, there's no any rejection and the rejection block here, so I'll be relying on the extreme order block, and you can clearly see price reversed, mitigated the extreme, and it's actually now reversing. But we know that this is not the highest probability buy. Why is not the highest probability buy? Because it is not you can clearly see that the trade is involving a minor inducement, and we say that trades that involve a minor inducement have lesser probability compared to the ones that involve major inducement, like this one here. So if price fails this one, then I'll be looking forward to buy after price mitigates, after price sweeps the major inducement. But this does not mean that this here is not valid. Of course, I need to change the color to signify that this is a valid zone. So on this second leg of watch, you can clearly see that price did that and made a valid pullback, and of course did that. So that's the second leg, and I'll be buying exactly on this second leg. So exactly right there, that will be my buy. So I'll be place my long position tool exactly right there. All right, so let me edit this stop loss thing, and of course I'll be placing my stop loss on that low, and of course I'll be targeting this. So if this trade fails, then our next buy will be after the sweep of the major inducement. So yeah, so let's see if price mitigates, if price triggers our order. All right, price extended further without triggering our order, and that's fine. There's no problem with that. All right, so that was a missed trade, and the price has now made a valid break of structure. So this one here is, now we are now actually in a new trading range. So you can clearly see I'm actually showcasing even the market structure. Everything is simple here. All right, so we are currently in a new trading range. We said after the break of structure, we are now in a new trading range right here. All right, so now where is the major and the minor inducement? The minor inducement is exactly here. So this is the minor inducement, very low here at the lowest point of this trading range, and this one is the major inducement. So let me continue running price. Price came to our SMT. Right, so price is doing that, but I'm not interested in any of what price was doing, because of we need to participate after the taking out of the inducement. And exactly right here, you can clearly see our major inducement is taken out. So here our major inducement is taken out, and this is now what we call the, like, a good buy. So I will not buy here. I like waiting for the second leg, but also you can buy after the closure of this candle. So let me do this. after the closure of this candle, if it closes with big momentum, exactly as you can see here, you can actually take the buy here, and of course some few pips below there, and of course target there. But I usually like waiting for the second leg. It gives me an extra confidence for my entries. Right, so let me see the second leg. Right, exactly, that's the, all right. So price did this. You can clearly see here. This means that the sweep is not is no more valid. Let's see. So let me see if price reverses after that. All right, price is reversing. As you can see, price is reversing. So now to confirm if this here is still a sweep or if that's a liquidity run or a change of character, then I will need to confirm that using the RSI. I usually like using the RSI to confirm the momentum. And if the momentum is still on the buying, then this means that this here can be a possible liquidity sweep of the major inducement. So now let's introduce our RSI, and you can clearly see on the price was making lower low. You can see this is a lower low on the price. You can clearly see that's a lower low, but on the RSI you can clearly see it's a higher high. You can clearly see that, because if we check it, you can clearly see this low and this low, that's a lower low, and this low and this low, that's a higher high. So you can clearly see on RSI we were making higher high, but on the price we are making lower low. So this means that our bullish momentum is still there, and this means that this here can be a possible liquidity sweep. So now in this case, then I can take the trade, of course, after this second leg. So let me see. So exactly right here on this second leg, I can place my buy position exactly right there, stop loss below there, and target the external liquidity. And this gives me a risk to reward of 2.2, but I usually don't take trades that involve a risk to reward like a such small risk to reward. I usually like trades that have a risk to reward like, but this is a good risk to reward, by the way. A 1:3 is a good risk to reward. But me, I have an agreed risk to reward of 1:3. So for me, I wouldn't take this trade, but this trade is still valid, and this is a good trade. This is a trade that you can take on a personal account rather. All right, so as you can see, and all right, so you can clearly see price extending. This here was another entry, and I mean, yeah, another entry exactly right there. That was another entry because this was another leg, and right, so price did that, and eventually, exactly, you can clearly see price eventually made it out to the full TP. And this means we are currently in a new trading range again, and this one here counts to be, of course, a swing point, and we are now in a new trading range, and our inducement is that one there, and that's a minor inducement. So this low here is our minor inducement. All right, so let's see. Let me continue running price. All right, so I'll need to do this. So exactly right there, so that we can get the bigger candles. Right, so exactly here you can clearly see that our inducement has now become major inducement. Why major inducement? It occurred after the break of structure. This is something that should be on your fingertips. Yep, they are the easiest things on the analysis. All right, so let's see. Right, this here is another, you can clearly see that this here is another inducement. So that's the major inducement. We keep on shifting as long as price creates a valid pullback. Right, another one here. So we'll be keeping on shifting as long as price creates a valid pullback. We'll still be shifting and shifting and shifting. And exactly right there, yes, another one. All right, so price can do that, and that's a normal thing. So yeah, so that's another one. Yeah, and exactly right here, this means now that price has all right, so that's a confirmed swing point, and right now it's the moment. Now we should mark our zones. So this one here on the current, on the previous playlist, this one here would have been now the decisional, but you can see the color that I'm using, it's purple, and we said purple. Is it purple? I don't know what color is that, but that's the color that I use for the smart money trap. And of course, this one here will now be the decisional, because that's the one that caused the break of structure. So I'll be using the color blue to confirm a bullish zone. And of course, is there any other here? So I'll be using the 1 minute, because I can clearly see here that using the 3 minute I can only see some all right, so exactly right here, let me zoom. You can see the break of structure is here. So this is the break of structure, and the reason as to why I use this is the order block that caused the break of structure. You can clearly see that exactly right there. That's the order block that caused the break of structure. You can zoom so that you guys can clearly see what I'm actually saying. Yeah, exactly right here. You can clearly see that yeah, you can clearly see that this is a swing point, the low, and this is the break exactly right here. That's the break of structure, and the order block that caused the break of structure is this one here. The reason as to why I'm not using order flows is by use of the eyes. You can clearly see that though, like for all the trading ranges that we have been using, all the order flows we are mitigated by the use of the eyes. All the order flows are mitigated. So that's the reason as to why I was not going on like marking the order flows. That's the reason as to why I was just going forward to the order blocks. So this is the order block, and that's there. I know someone else is saying like, why didn't I pick this order block as the decisional, or why I didn't pick this order block as the decisional. I said that the order block that is used as the decision is the one that caused the break of structure. This is the order block that caused the break of structure. You can see this is the break of structure. All right, this here is the internal high. You can clearly see that this is the internal high, and this is the order block that caused the break of the internal high, and at the same time the break of the external high. So that's the reason is I'm using that as the decisional. This one here is not a valid. This is just an SMT, as well as this one here is just an, all right, this can be an extreme. So let's see. Yep, you can clearly see that this candle mitigated all of these, and this one here was the next candle, and this was mitigated. So yeah, this one is not an SMT, but this is not the extreme. This is the SMT, and then the other SMT is this one here. Yeah, so these are just SMTs, and these are now the valid order blocks in the range. We said there can only be a maximum of 2 valid POIs, or yeah, by POI it can be an order flow or an order block. So yeah, so now let's return back to the 3 minutes, and this is our trading range, of course. And now let's see, you can clearly see this is not a sweep. So this means that we need a reaction from either the decisional. So if the decisional fails, then I'll be waiting for the extreme to be mitigated. All right, so let's see. So price has mitigated the SMT or a weak POI. So I'm not interested for the buy, even though you can see price is reacting. That is just to induce the early buyers. That is just to induce the early buyers. So don't be that induced one, and just wait for price, and just be patient and wait for price to mitigate the zones that we're actually looking forward for. So you can see pretty good reaction, and someone else will be lured to buy there, but not me. And so I'll just be waiting for price to mitigate the valid zones that I've actually marked. All right, so you can clearly see price there. Let me make it fast. Right, you can clearly see after doing that, price consolidated at that, but you can clearly see all of this is internal structure, and that's our high. So still we are safe. Right, so you can clearly see price has mitigated exactly there. That's the decisional, and gave a good reaction. So for me now, I can now take right, is there any right, the second leg, there's no any second leg here. So this is the second leg, you can clearly see here. This is the valid one. So I'll be placing there. The best SL is actually here, but you can clearly see this will give me a negative RR because the target profit is actually there. So this means I will not be taking this, not unless I decide to go aggressive and place my stop loss on this low of this leg or some few pips below. The same, it will give me a risk to reward that is not favorable, but I can extend, of course, to make it that, but I don't recommend the extension. So this kind of price action I wouldn't participate. All right, you can see price took me out, and later price made it out to the break of structure. That's the reason as to why I usually like placing my stop loss here. So you can clearly see if I did that, this would have been a winner. But since I placed the stop loss on the low of the second leg or some few pips below, I was taken out. So that's the reason as to why I usually like placing my stop loss right there. And yeah, as you can see, price made it out to the full TP, and that's a valid break of structure. So that's the reason as to why, guys, I'm saying that price is now like things are now changing. You can clearly see the decisional change, like the decisional failed, while the one that I marked, the one that caused the break of structure, this is the true decisional order block, the one that caused the break of structure, and not the one that comes right after the inducement is taken out. Guys, this is a very important thing. So yeah, that's a very important update. The one that caused the break of structure, that's the decisional. The one that is right after the inducement is taken out, it's no longer the decisional, and that's just a weak POI. That's very important, guys. All right, so you can clearly see we are now in a new trading range, exactly right here. So where is our, all right, is this yo? All right, so this here, I don't know if this here is a minor or a major. Was that a valid or not? I don't know. All right, let's see. So exactly right here, you can clearly see price has taken up this, and this is a sweep actually. All right. Right, not that strong. Let me see if this is a major inducement. Because if it's a major inducement, then I'll be taking that sweep. But if it's a minor, I will not participate. All right, that's a major inducement. You can clearly see here the price wicked. So that's a major inducement. So it's valid to actually participate here. Yeah, it's valid to participate, and if this fails, then this means that I'll be looking forward for this one here. The reason as to why I didn't use this one here as a valid zone, is it that, or let me use the 1 minute. All right, price action was messy, but yeah, everything here was messy, so I will not be marking anything there, but we can clearly see that this is the rejection block. Yeah, that's the rejection block because everything is mitigated. That's the rejection block, and I'll be using the color blue to signify that. So let me shift back to the 3 minutes. And by the way, after the taking out of this is a sweep. You can clearly see that yeah, this is a sweep. If I shift back to the 1 minute, you can clearly see this RSI divergence very pretty much here. You can clearly see this here. Probably this is an RSI divergence. Let me see. If this is an RSI divergence, then I'll participate for the buy. And exactly right here, you can clearly see that price. You can clearly see the price made a lower low here, but on the RSI it was a higher high. So this means that there is some buying pressure here, and of course I will need to buy from here. Of course, this was the best buy. So stop loss some few pips below there, targeting our external high. So this here is a good trade because this is a major inducement, and if this fails, then our next buy will be on this rejection block, or and if that fails, then now this means that we'll be looking forward to change bias to bearish. So let's see. That's my buy. So let's see what price does. Right. So as you can see, oh, that's good. So price is actually going onto my direction. All right, this is not good. And eventually this is not good. All right, eventually price took me out. You can clearly see right there, price took me out. So the next buy, of course, it will be this rejection block. All right, this is not a, you can clearly see that price made a change of character here. Even if it is a break by a week, I usually don't recommend such this kind of mitigation. I usually don't recommend this kind of mitigation. You can clearly see right there, this is a sweep. Price wicked below our external liquidity right here, but I will not take that buy. Yeah, I will not take that buy. If it was just a simple mitigation of the rejection block without price wicking below, the reason is why I'm not interested for this buy. It's because this one is a major inducement. If it was a minor inducement, then this year will I wouldn't even take, I wouldn't have taken this buy. I would wait for price to mitigate the rejection block or sweep the major inducement. But since this is the major inducement, because we confirmed that price wicked above here, so this means that this one here, even if it's a break by a week, it's a possible that price can make a reversal now. So let's see what price does. let's see what price does. All right, price is actually going up, right? Let's see. All right, you can clearly see here price made a gap. Probably this was the weekend. Yeah, Monday. You can see on Monday, this is Monday. So on Monday after price opened, made a gap. So this means that on Friday price closed here. Yeah, so you can clearly see that price made a gap and we were taken out. So this means that price was actually looking forward to make the change of character. That's the reason as to how I didn't take this back. So guys, you can clearly see the refinements and everything. Yeah, so this is how we will be doing it exactly right here. So I will end the video here. I don't want to make this video long, but I believe you have learned something. And so on the next video, I'll be now showcasing the full top down. I'll be breaking down a trade, probably the one that I've taken earlier, such a nice trade. I'll be breaking it down starting from the daily all the way to the 3 minute. That is my execution time frame. So guys, if you have learned something, of which I believe you have, drop a like or do me some favor and drop a like, and see you in the next video.